MORT's spooky bedtime stories you won't sleep after. The room was steeped in shadows, illuminated only by the flickering light of a single, almost sinister candle. Its flame danced in rhythm with the faint creaks and groans of the old wooden floor. Mort, draped in a dark cloak, sat in his corner, his hands resting on an ancient book bound in cracked leather. The air seemed heavier, charged with anticipation, as he began to speak. "Bedtime stories," Mort whispered, his voice as smooth and cold as the night itself. "They've always been a comfort, haven't they? A way to drift into dreams. But what if those stories weren't meant to comfort? What if they were meant to warn? Tonight, I'll share 3 tales that twist the fabric of bedtime storytelling: dark, unsettling, and unforgettable. The candlelight dimmed, and Mort leaned forward, his face shrouded in shadow. Let us begin with our first story. The house that never lets go. The house that never lets go, nestled on the edge of a sleepy little town. The house stood as a relic of the past, its weathered facade exuding a strange charm. The Harrows family was thrilled to move in, enchanted by the house's vintage appeal. The children played on the creaky stairs, and their laughter echoed through the halls, but the house had other plans. At first, the signs were subtle. Doors that were carefully shut would creak open in the dead of night. The faint scent of flowers, roses, perhaps would waft through rooms, though no flowers were in sight. Then came the whispers, barely audible, but unmistakable. The youngest Harrow child, a bright-eyed girl named Lily, began speaking of a friend. "He's nice," she said, "but he doesn't like it when we talk about leaving." One night, Mrs. Harrow woke to the sound of humming. It was a gentle tune, familiar yet chilling, coming from the attic. She tiptoed up the stairs, her heart pounding with every step. The attic door creaked as it opened, revealing nothing but darkness. The humming stopped. But as she turned to leave, her name echoed softly in the void, as though the house itself had spoken. "Welcome to Darkrot Legends... Where fear takes form and shadows tell their stories. Let's begin." Desperate to leave, the family packed their belongings in haste. But when they tried to open the front door, it wouldn't budge. The windows refused to yield, as though the house had locked them inside. They were trapped, prisoners of the very place they had once called home. The house still stands, silent and empty. But those who dare walk by at night often report hearing a faint melody drifting through the air. Some say the house is waiting for its next family. The Lake of Lost Souls. Mort closed his book briefly, his eyes glinting in the flickering candlelight. Our next story takes us to a place of beauty and tragedy, a serene lake hiding a terrible secret. The Lake of Lost Souls was a local legend, its waters calm and inviting under the light of the moon. But the townsfolk knew better than to visit after sunset. Those who dared to swim in its depths alone were said to vanish, their reflections the only thing left behind. Ethan was a skeptic, a boy with a taste for adventure and a disdain for old superstitions. On a dare, he decided to swim in the lake on the night of a full moon. The water was icy but tranquil, reflecting the silver glow of the sky. Ethan laughed at his friends waiting on the shore. "See, nothing to be afraid of," he shouted, his voice echoing across the water. Then, without warning, the surface rippled unnaturally. A soft whisper carried across the lake Ethan's name. His laughter stopped as a chill ran down his spine. The whispers grew louder, surrounding him, pulling him under. His friends watched in horror as he disappeared beneath the surface, the water returning to its eerie stillness. The next morning, Ethan's reflection appeared on the lake, his face frozen in a silent scream. The lake claimed him, as it had so many before. To this day, if you visit on a quiet night, you might hear the whispers and see the faces of the lost staring back at you. The candle that never burns out. Mort's candle flickered unnaturally as he turned the page. And now, the final story. This one is not for the faint of heart. The candle that never burns out. The candle was said to be a cursed relic, passed down through generations. Its power was simple yet horrifying. When lit in complete darkness, it would reveal the shadow of your death. The legend warned that once the vision was seen, it could not be avoided. Henry, a young skeptic, laughed off the tale as mere superstition. One stormy night, armed with nothing but the infamous candle, he sat in his pitch-black room and struck a match. The flame roared to life, brighter and fiercer than any candle he'd ever seen. At first, the room remained still. Then, shadows began to shift, forming shapes that danced on the walls. As Henry stared into the flame, a vision appeared: a car speeding down a dark street, his own lifeless body sprawled on the pavement. His heart raced as the vision faded, leaving only the silent flicker of the candle. Henry dismissed it as a trick of his mind, but the very next evening, while crossing the street, the headlights of a car blinded him. Tires screeched, and the prophecy was fulfilled. The candle still exists, they say, waiting for the next soul brave or foolish enough to light it. Would you dare? The warning. MORT closed the book with a soft thud, his voice dropping to a whisper. These stories may seem like mere fiction, but every legend has a root in truth. Tonight, as you lie in bed, listen closely. Is that creak in the hallway just the house settling, or is it something more? The candle flickered one last time before plunging the room into complete darkness. In the silence, MORT's voice lingered: sweet dreams, if you can sleep. Thank you for joining Dark Rot Legends. Subscribe for more tales of terror. If you dare.